starting recording.
Oh, now you're starting the recording?
Yeah, we can't bleep you out.
That could have been like a pre-thing like we usually do.
the pre-roll. You should say so that's the best pre-roll ever.
Yeah, it'd still be bleep bleep.
It'd still be bleep bleep.
This is the Player 4 Podcast. Join us each week as we talk about video games, entertainment, and pop culture, and bring in guests from the Rooster Teeth community. Player 4 has entered the game.
For all you listeners and monster hunters, it's another episode of the Player 4 Podcast.
Hello, I am Tristan, aka Chakrazier, on the Rooster Teeth website.
I'm Alex, aka Chaos Black 21.
And I'm Malachi, aka Suki Kiba.
Mal, I just want to say, because of your intro, does that mean that monster hunters can't be listeners? They have to be one or the other?
Well, didn't I say listeners and monster
The
hunters?
two groups are mutually exclusive. They don't overlap. There's no such thing as a Venn diagram.
Well, it's separating them to emphasize all my love for those fellow hunters out there.
I could be a fellow hunter if it would be on PC. So, for the task list today, we have RTX Guardianship, Pokemon Go, Monster Hunter World, and a buttload of getting the flip out of here.
Oh, whoops.
Because Malachi has to go to sleep.
Yes, because of stuff.
He's got to get his beauty or sleep.
Alex, we finally got news. The news is we're Guardians.
Apparently, I got my news before you did.
Yeah, well, there was a problem. And it wasn't my fault this time. It wasn't any of Tech Team's fault this time. Amazing, right?
Yeah.
And it was a tech-related problem. So maybe if we'd been there, it probably still would have been a problem.
So it is your fault because you weren't there.
No, it would have still been a problem.
Listen, you're the scapegoat in all this. Tech Team is the scapegoat.
Okay, so yes. Finally, we got Guardian letters going out, and they have an automated system, and it had a bit of a snafu and stopped working. So, like, half the Guardians got their letters, and the other half just sat around biting their nails, wondering if they got in or not.
And I was in that half.
You mean the first half?
Yeah, because I'm assuming that it goes by kind of like how they have their, well...
I don't know. I thought it was alphabetical, but then...
Yeah, well, they do it alphabetical, but by first name.
Except that somebody in my group has a first name that starts with S, and they got theirs in the first group.
Interesting.
Actually, maybe their first name starts with an R, and they go by their middle name. But still,
well, yeah, R and S are really close together. Still,
yeah. But I mean, still, in my, even among the other techs, there were people whose names started with C and D who were like, I didn't get mine yet.
Well, I don't know what everybody's email is either. They could be going by first letter in the emails, but. It doesn't matter. Half the people got their stuff, half the people didn't. So it took some time. And Mary, I think, was able to work it out by she started. I think you said that she sent you a personal message on Risky to get you.
That is what I said. It wasn't true. It was definitely one of those auto mass sends. That basically just said, thanks for your patience. Follow the link here, and that was all it said.
So you lied to me.
I did. I lied really hard through my teeth. But you believed me, and that's the important thing.
Yeah, I won't believe you anymore.
I don't know. You said that about after the Necromancers thing, too.
Well...
I seem to remember you saying emphatically that you will never trust anything I say again after you guys almost got murdered by Necromancers.
Yeah, in D&D.
Yeah. I thought that applied to everything.
No, you're different in D&D. In D&D, you're more sadistic.
I will take that for the compliment it is. So that's the RTX Guardian stuff. We're going to be Guardians at RTX this year, and Malachi's going to be there.
So, yeah, in several months, we'll get our roles, and of course we'll tell people. I mean, Tristan obviously is going to be an Expo Guardian.
Oh. Well, I think that would make Alex jealous if I was an Expo Guardian, so I'm going with that too.
No, he's most likely going to be a Tech Guardian, because why else would you let Tristan into the Guardians?
Whoa, hurtful words.
Just kidding. Who knows what I'll be? We'll see. I'm pretty much like 90% certain what I'm going to be, but
You're like definitely going to be that PA that you signed up for.
I mean, there's a few roles that I think I might fit into. It's just I'm 90% certain I'm probably going to be response again, but it's fine because it was fun and I've had fun every year.
There's going to be so much Walker Texas Ranger.
So much Walker Texas Ranger. We just scratched the surface last year.
We barely peeled back the cover on that can of worms.
Oh my.
But perhaps we should go to another topic, which, speaking of Go, Pokemon Go, something happened. Tell us, Mal.
I don't know the full details of it. All I know is my cousin was like, Malachi, get on Pokemon Go. Did you get a pass? And I'm like, what? And apparently, yesterday, I believe it was, yesterday, the day before, Pokemon Go had a huge crash, like, or something bad happened, like, so bad that Niantic's like, sorry about that, guys. Here, everyone that logs on today gets an EX Pass, which an EX Pass allows you to fight Mewtwo.
Did you catch Mewtwo?
No, it's scheduled. I get to fight him February 10th, which is Saturday, between 12:30 and 1:15. So
Very specific.
Yeah.
I have a coworker who got invited to a
EX.
Mewtwo EX.
It was probably from that issue that I just mentioned. Everyone everywhere's got one.
Because it was when did the crash happen? Because he got it like a week or two ago. He had his raid and he caught it.
Yeah, no, the raids happen sporadically here and there. They have times where they hand out a bunch. Like, the raids happened several times before. I think a couple of people I know have 2 or 3 Mewtwo's.
He said it's also very easy to catch it.
Is it? Cool, because I want one.
Yeah, I think he said that he caught it like on his like second attempt or something.
Oh, you mean of raid
like second
attempt?
ball, second
okay.
ball, like his second ball he caught it.
Okay. Well, yeah, so this upcoming Saturday, Tristan will probably get a text. I got him! Because I'll be happy that I got him.
Why do I feel like the text, just in light of recent events, is going to be, I guess quit. I quit Pokemon Go because I couldn't get you.
Because games RNGs are jerks and RNG gods are evil people. Well, come on.
I mean, it's true. I think
RNG. RNGesus.
I think that RNG is a terrible game mechanic in most cases.
What Tristan's referring to is another phone game, Love Live, which there's a 1% chance to get a certain type of card rarity, and there was an increased chance of a certain set that was released. So I was lucky enough to get the 1%, but I got the ladder of the 50% and got something that was not the increased chance.
Yeah.
And
so he interrupts them in the middle of the D&D game to say, I quit this game.
I was so sad. I was so upset. Freaking. Anyways, so yeah, if you missed logging in that day to get your EX Pass, that kind of sucks for everyone out there, because it seems like you had to log in the day of the issue to have gotten it. But I'm excited, and anyone that did get it, I wish you luck. So next, about getting things, I have been slaying monsters for the past week. Well,
Mal's a slayer.
Well, pretty much 2 weeks, actually.
He's a hunter.
Yes. There's a lot of tracking involved. They actually made it a pretty intricate mechanic. So, I recently purchased, it came out January 26th, Monster Hunter World. I keep wanting to say Worlds, but it's just Monster Hunter World.
Yeah. It's just one world, man.
Well, it feels like Worlds to me. It's Worlds of fun.
Good cover.
So yeah, for the past week, I've been past 2 weeks I've been playing that game, and they made a lot of changes to it. Some positive, well, pretty much most of them are pretty positive. I haven't found anything crazy negative about the things they've done. They eliminated a lot of tediousness, like, for example, having to carry pickaxes to mine ores, or needing to have bug nets to find insects, All of those are infinite now. And fishing, you have an infinite fishing rod also. They eliminated turn-ins for delivery quests. So it used to be you'd have to keep an inventory space open for a particular item you had to gather and then take it back to your base camp. Now it's just instantly turned in. It doesn't take up any space.
That sounds a little less tedious.
Oh, yeah. But it's also kind of a negative because you got to make sure that if you do start gathering, you have to leave the last one. Because sometimes what we used to like to do is during a quest, you'd gather other things. But the way they made the game, I guess it doesn't really matter. Because when you start off a mission now, when it's an investigation, you can, after the quest, stay in that area and then just go gather right after. You don't have to leave and then re-enter if you need to go pick up some other items that you missed while you're out hunting a monster. You just say you want to continue on the mission and it'll just leave you in that area. You do go back to the base camp though. If you stayed after quests, you can start another quest and it will start a lot faster than going back to the hub and then coming back into the area. So that's an interesting thing that there was. One thing they also eliminated was key quests. There were
no more key searching quests.
So in Monster Hunter, it used to be you would get a list of quests to do, and there would be like 4 to 5 out of the huge list of quests, or you'd start to unlock some that would be required that you have to have completed to unlock the next tier of quests. This one's really straightforward with just being like, oh, do this, you get to go here. Or like the story is all just, it's actually kept separate. Assigned quests are all your story quests and they have it's in its own window. But you can't redo story quests. You can rewatch the cutscenes at the title menu, but you cannot redo the quests. They do have quests that are equivalent to it, and optional, and an investigation. So you can fight the monsters again, of course, but that particular quest you can't do again, which I thought was interesting.
So now the quests are just completed and done.
Yeah, everything is super straightforward, crazy. Like they give you so much information. Like one thing that was never privy in Monster Hunter was what the mobs were weak to. What they're weak to element-wise and status, and what parts were breakable, and what damage types capitalize on those monster parts. So they have a research center in here that allows you to, when you're tracking the monster, you bring back parts, and if you capture the monster, the research people get to study the monster, and they compile information for you, and it's all right there in your hunter notes. And it's just like, oh yeah, the monster is heavily weak to poison, not so much paralyzed, but it takes heavy dragon damage and very little fire damage. So you can really capitalize on the monster's weaknesses in this new game with the information right there in the game itself versus looking at an external source.
Now, does that make it easier, or do they ramp up the difficulty maybe a little bit to make up for giving more information?
No, not really, because you can find that information online and stuff, and the monsters are always nasty, and they didn't hold back on the monsters. Like, Nergigante is nasty. He has so many attacks that he lands, and when he hits the ground, he sends projectiles out. And I finally realized why I get hit when I'm standing underneath him when he does a dive bomb is because when he first impacts the ground, when he starts to do his dive bomb, because he jumps up, dives down, and then slides. So, like, I'll get underneath him and try to run through him to try to get out of his hitbox. And when he lands and then starts to slide, he has like spikes all over his body that break off and they fly all over the place. So I'm getting hit by that spray. He does a lot of damage when he does it. For the longest time, it one-shot me. It's like, nice. It's like, oh, he's diving. I'm not getting out of it. Yeah, I'm dead.
So the most important question is, have you caught Devil Jack?
You mean Devil Joe.
Oh, Devil Joe. Yep, I play Monster Hunter.
It's okay. I was trying to remember the name of it for like the last 2 minutes going, Demon Jack?
Yes,
Bad guy Jack.
Bad guy Jack.
Devil Joe is a huge like rage T-Rex. His biggest like iconic thing with his body is when he goes into rage, he gets buffed up more, and you literally see where kind of his flesh teared, and you can see his muscle bulging out of his like skin. You can like see just the exposed muscle from him just buffing up. Yeah, dude, he's vicious. And he's one of the only monsters that can pin you and start biting you to regain its stamina. So monsters will leave the zone to run away from you to go like attack a smaller monster and then eat it to get its stamina back so it's not exhausted. Because the large monsters are also affected by exhaustion to where they'll sit there and just like heavy breathing and they'll be drooling. It's perfect time to like get a lot of damage in on him. So Devil Joe can pin you down and eat you himself and get his vitality back, which is crazy.
Mean.
And he has giant fangs on his chin itself. He's nasty.
He can bite you with the outside of his mouth.
Pretty much. So, no, I haven't had a chance to fight him yet. And apparently I missed Corinne also. He's somewhere in the low rank, and I didn't realize that. I haven't explored everything in the game yet. I played through the majority of the story, got through a key point in the story, and technically I was a retired hunter, and some time has passed, and some stuff has happened, and now I'm out in the field again looking for more clues.
Hunter's work is never done.
Nope.
They don't get to retire.
So I got through most. So I do like the thought of the story. I like the concept they went with it. I won't divulge into it too much because I don't want to spoil anything for anyone that does want to play it. It's pretty interesting. Of course, Monster Hunter story is relatively simple. No real like crazy long thing. Well, I'm trying to think. No, the story takes quite a while. You're gonna at least be playing probably upwards toward 40 hours to get to the first portion, maybe 30 hours to get to the first portion. To get to the rest of the story quests, you're probably pushing maybe. I actually heard someone speak about him playing the game prior to the release, and he said it took about 60 to 70 hours for him to finish everything.
Now, is the story like a main focus, or is the story kind of like? Because I never really thought Monster Hunter would have a story. Well, so I figured that more in the forefront is just catching beasts, and then like the story would kind of take a back seat.
Well, a lot of times with Monster Hunter, the big thing is you arrive at a village. Something is causing a problem. It's either riling up the monsters around the area, or there's these strange earthquakes. Monster Hunter Tri was there strange earthquakes happening, and they wanted you to like go out there and fight monsters and wander the areas to find out what's causing these earthquakes. And in the end of the story of it, you find out that there was a giant monster swimming underneath like the island and then bashing his head up against the freaking wall, trying to break into this one area.
I didn't know islands float.
Well, it's more like an underwater cave. It's usually the story's more simple, something along that lines. Is there's monsters that are getting riled up or something's causing a problem. We need you to go find out what that problem is. This one actually had a little more of a twist to it, which I really liked the thought of what they did with it. And I haven't, like I said, finished all of the story because I believe I got to the halfway point when I entered high rank.
All right.
Any questions about the games? Anything you guys are interested in?
I'm a little curious. Is it still, like, when you make a character, you choose a fighting style, and that's your fighting style forever? Or
no.
Can you change weapons?
You can change weapons at any given time. Like, the weapons is... that's one thing they also did that was kind of crazy, for me at least, is it used to be when you started a quest, you could not change anything. Like, once you started, you're in. You either quit or you go with what you have. At the base camps, after you start a quest, you can walk into your tent and change your equipment. Say you brought the wrong element to fight the monster you're going to fight. You can go in there, get your correct weapon that you didn't pull out, and then come out. And you can even change mid-fight. If you go back to base camp, you can...
Okay, so you can run away from the monster, go back to base camp, and pick up a different weapon.
Yeah. Of course, you're wasting time doing that, but
How much time do you have on a mission?
50 minutes usually. Any monster, depending on how well your gear is, should take you about 15 to 20 to fight. Solo, you're probably easily going to push 20 minutes easily. If you got other people with you, you probably can get done within like 8 to 12 minutes. I've had fights where everyone had exactly what we needed and just tore the monster apart. So yeah, to answer your question, yeah, weapons, it's not set. You can sell all your weapons and get rid of everything. And then if you feel like you want to pick the weapon up again, you can build a new one from scratch and start over again.
Can you improve your weapons?
Oh yeah, another thing that was very straightforward about that was the weapons used to never like show you the path of the weapon when you're building it. You just upgrade it. You're like, oh, I can upgrade it into this now. Oh, I can upgrade it into this now. The weapon crafting system actually shows the tree that you can craft your weapon in. So like you could see all the paths. You can't see what the end stats are, but you can see how far you are from the end of the final product. And they did make the character customization pretty intricate. So you can spend a bit of time making your character and enjoy it.
Mm-hmm. I want it to come out on PC.
Yes.
When will that happen?
Probably in autumn. They said, so what I read up on about that was that they knew the company that made the game knows what they're doing with console. So they were like, well, let's get this done, get this out there so we can focus purely on the PC release so that we can get it right. And the biggest thing that they don't have a handle on is the matchmaking system. So what they're doing right now is figuring out how they're going to do it with PC with the matchmaking.
I'm certain it won't work anything like the console that they've already figured out.
Yeah, well, I don't know how much PlayStation stuff they were able to rely on for like server-wise and all that for how everything is broken up. In Monster Hunter World, you can have 16 hunters in a single room, and then you can post a quest and be sent out on a quest from there. And teams consist of 4 hunters. So 16 people, 4 hunters per team. So that would make, 4 teams in a session? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
4 teams in a session. And
are the teams competing against each other for the same monster?
Nope. It's just that you guys
can they work together to fight the same monster?
No.
So there's only 4 people fighting a monster at any given time?
Yep. The only thing
why is the room size limited to 16 then? Couldn't that one be like infinite and then you just send out people in sets of 4?
I'm not sure why it was limited to 16. Well, Monster Hunter used to never have it to where you could have that many people in one given room. It used to only ever be 4.
Yeah.
So you could join a group and hang out in the hub with 4 people and go on a quest. I think they did it to kind of make it so you can kind of hang out with more people. Mm-hmm. If you're up in the hub area, you can actually see their equipment. You can arm wrestle them.
Sounds familiar.
Ryken would be pissed about that.
And you can just chill up at the Hunter hub if you wish.
But I mean, at the same time, you've got, Plains of Eidolon and Warframe. When the hub is Cetus, the room is Cetus, you can have like 100 people in there. Well, and then people just go off in groups of 1 to 4.
Yeah, but you got to think of also the capacity that the councils can handle. That maybe
I don't know. It's all server stuff, man.
Yeah, maybe the computer one will have more than 16 people per room.
Maybe if it ever comes out.
I keep saying
Just gonna love that part.
I know, right?
So how are you feeling about the game so far? Like, you said you've logged how many hours on it now?
60.
And you've gotten through the entire storyline or most of the storyline?
Most of the storyline, because I spent quite a bit of time farming armor.
So you're enjoying it.
Yeah.
I think it's more than enjoying it.
The question is, once you get to the end of the storyline, is there incentive to keep playing it, or is it just done?
Well, I haven't finished all the storyline stuff, so I'm still uncovering the monsters. Like, I just was able to start fighting Teostra and Deora. So those 2 monsters are classic returns from the Monster Hunter series that I get to fight here in the next part of the story.
Are they species of monster, or are they just named monsters?
They are what we call elder dragons.
So they're named monsters.
Dun, dun, dun.
Yes.
So they just never die, even though you always kill them and take their bits.
No, they die.
Right, but if they keep coming back, and they got the same names, then they never die.
Well, I guess you could say they're a species, but their classification is elder dragon.
Mm-hmm.
The elder dragon species.
It's just, like, we understand bad guys coming back over multiple installments of a game series like Ganondorf and Zelda, because he's not killed, he's just imprisoned somewhere and gets out later to wreak havoc on the world. But in Monster Hunter, it's a little harder to argue that because you kill them and then you start taking their scales and bones and shit.
Tristan, look at it this way. Maybe they're the elder dragon version of Professor Ozpin.
Oh god, they just jump to a new body and make it their own.
Yeah.
I want to have that discussion. I do. I want to. But I don't want this podcast to be 3 hours long, because it will be.
So, overall, Malachi is going to say that it is a good game, solid game. If you were interested in starting the Monster Hunter series, it's a super easy game to get into. Everything is really straightforward. You won't have to put a whole lot of effort into digging up information that you'll need to hunt the monsters. Everything is given to you for the most part. You do have to work for it, but all the information will be there at your fingertips to be the best hunter you can be. So I'd recommend if wanted to get in the Monster Hunter series, Worlds would be a good start now.
World.
Keep
One
saying
world.
Worlds.
One world.
All right.
I play so many Monster Hunters, it is Worlds for me.
Yeah, we've gone through all the names, remember?
We did.
Well, no, wait.
It's all
Yes,
good. We're done.
I thought you said, you should have said numbers, Alex. You said we went through all the numbers.
The numbers are implied.
The numbers are super not implied because they're super all over the place. 1, 2, 4, world, unity.
I remember one thing also. I said I thought I seen them using arts and they were going to bring the art system back in from Generations. I was mistaken. But they implemented some of the arts into the action weapons style. So, like, the weapons' normal functions is some of the things that were in the arts system. Like, a perfect example was greatswords. You used to only have, you would be able to hold your sword in a, upright position or a horizontal position to, and you charge up your attack and do a heavy swing. An art there was called Strike. I forget what the offensive one was called. The offensive stance for your arts would allow you to get 3 charge attacks, which the Greatsword in World has 3 charge attacks. So they implemented some things from previous game to make permanent on the weapon.
Mm-hmm.
So I just wanted to clarify that because I mentioned that before. I was like, oh man, it looks like they're going to bring back the art system. And it wasn't the case.
But they didn't. Betrayal.
But yeah, a lot of fun things about it. All right.
I think it's time to get the flip out of here.
Yeah, we've got a buttload of getting the flip out of here to get through.
Too much.
The buttload was supposed to say that we got a buttload of snow here in Corning. But my computer decided to get rid of the snow part and just put that other part in front of it. I don't know.
Buttload of getting the flip out of here.
Are you sure that was the computer's fault, or did you just have a slip of the mind?
It was totally the computer's fault.
He meant one thing and said buttload of getting the flip out of here.
All right. Good night, everyone.
Good night, everybody. Hashtag goodbye.
Goodbye.
Remember that time.
I hope I talked all right.
At least you didn't click.
No clicking?
Well, I didn't hear it, but I mean, it's not like I was searching, like, let's wait and see how many clicks he makes.
Click.
I'd hear about it from Joseph. He'd be like, God damn it, Malachi.
Thanks to the following patrons for making this video possible. Support us at patreon.com/player4podcast.